Hey y'all, it's Thursday. Welcome to Adjuster Hour. Today I'm bringing you Greg Golson. Greg, thank you so much for coming on today. It truly means so much to me. How about you go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience and let them know all about you?
Sure. Hi, I'm Greg Golson. Been in the insurance industry a little over 25 years, and let's just leave it there. I started my career at the Aetna in Louisiana, by the way, in Shreveport. I also spent some time in Baton Rouge. Did a stint at the home office in Hartford. Believe it or not, that building held 15,000 people when I was there. The Aetna was a
Oh,
very
wow.
large property casualty company at the time. Um, I worked also at MetLife Auto and Home. Handled about 12,000 claims, about 375 large losses in 13 states, and 33 tours of cat duty. Also had my own independent adjusting firm in North Georgia. Um, then I moved to the vendor side. I worked for a forensic engineering firm called Bracken Engineering. Did too good of a job as their chief strategist, and we were acquired by JS Held. At
Oh,
JS
yeah.
Held, I led verbal thought leadership. We did about, I helped put together over 1,700 sessions to 135,000 people globally for JS Health. And
Oh, wow.
since I left JS Health last October, and I have a consulting firm called Up to Now. That's UP2 Now, LLC. I work with carriers, IA firms, and law firms, helping them grow.
Okay, that's amazing. Wow, I wasn't expecting that resume. I knew a little bit of of your experience from LinkedIn, but I wasn't privy to all of that. So that's wonderful. And you mentioned Shreveport. Just so the audience knows, we do have a little bit of a connection through my mentor, Gayla. So before you got on, I was thinking about stories about Gayla, all good stories, but I remember and Gayla, you know Gayla, you grew up with Gayla, so
Yep.
let's connect that. You grew up with Gayla, and Gayla taught me everything I know in the adjusting world. I mean, she took me under her wing. She had to. I mean, it was by direction of the boss. Um, we both worked at the same IA firm, and they hired me and they trained me, and the stipulation was Gayla would train me, and so I would go run the claim. And the very first claim I ran for Gala, under Gala, was in Monroe, Louisiana. I was so nervous. They drove me all, like, I had to drive all the way to Monroe by myself with a ladder that was way too heavy for me. It was a roof claim.
Probably a wooden ladder, right, Natalie? Back then,
it was
potentially.
it was one of those the ones that you know the triangle ones that kind of flip like this and you flip
Yep.
it out and then
Yep.
yeah, just a regular, I guess, just a regular ladder. And I went all the way up there for this roof claim, and I did all the measurements. I was so nervous. I took all my pictures, and it was a really big house, so the diagram took me forever. It was like my first diagram.
No
Well,
eager than you back then.
no, this was oh my gosh, what, 14 years ago. Anyway, my diagram, as pitiful as it looked, I brought it back to Gala. Well, guess what? I forgot one measurement. One measurement. And she she lost it on me. I was like, "Oh my god. What am I doing? Like, what am I doing here? Like, can I do this job, you know?" And it was like a 2 foot overhang. It was like a very small little hip, and we were panicking. We were on all over Google. I think it was like right when Google was starting to do the aerial sketch, and
Right.
we were trying to figure it out. And boy, I've never missed a measurement since first claim. So that's my story with Gayla, and she's great. Again, taught me
Yep.
everything I know. So wonderful that that we have that connection.
Right.
But yeah, go ahead and tell us a little bit. So you've been in it, you've been on deployments, you've had the IA firm, you know a lot about the adjuster side of things and the type of stamina and traits an adjuster should have. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, and it's one of the most important things I think, is as things continue to change in our industry. We used to get 100 claims basically on health on duty, maybe 50 on hurricane duty. You show up somewhere, you have a hotel room possibly 10, 20, maybe 50 miles away from where you're going. And
Mm.
you, you GPS may or may not work still potentially, depending on cell phones may be down. You never know. But getting to know the lay of the land is one of the key things, really. And I think the hardest thing for a lot of adjusters to do in back when we had to do it each time, and some deployments are still that way, making those contacts. You know, you're chomping at the bit to get out and go see your first claim, but if you have 100 people, say on a hell deployment, and someone's not doing that for you, reaching in. And the hard part is too, when you have to have soft skills, and I think that's one of the things
Mm.
we'll talk about later. As AI continues to encroach upon the claims industry, it's important to develop the soft skills, because when you're making those first contacts, Natalie, you're on your 99th call. Oh, by the way, I want to see, it's the first of the month. Oh, by the way, I want to see you on the 21st of the month. You're telling this person, wait, you're going to see me 3 weeks from now? But I
Mhm.
mean, there that happens to be work out that way, that they're the whatever the 99th call you make to set that appointment up. So having those skills to block out where you want to be, it's a lot easier now with some of the technology we have to know to loop things together. But that doesn't mean that people are going to be home. You know, you may have 10 claims within 2 blocks of each other, and only 2 of those people are available that day or that at that time. You know, we can still work continues, especially on non-hurricane and tornado type work or large fire losses. People are working. You have to work around their schedule if you need to get inside. And a lot of times, if the hail's severe, there is interior damage of some type.
Mm.
So I think,
Yeah.
and pacing yourself too, and staying, uh, you have Gala and you, I'm sure, females tend to be much more organized than male adjusters. I'm sorry. That's just the reality of the
Yes,
world. I mean, and
I
so
agree with you.
it's really true. I know people that would go out and try to see 14 losses and then write them up. I mean, I'm
Mhm.
sorry. I'm right. I'd rather go see 5 one day, write them up, be done, and move on to the next 5, whatever it
Yeah,
is.
that's the way to do
You know,
it.
and
Yeah.
tracking where you're at on things. As you mentioned about that measurement, um, you get tired on a held storm duty. Maybe the 7th, 8th loss for the day. That 2-story ladder you're carrying gets pretty heavy. You're trying to
Mhm.
make sure. Heck, I would have a post-it note on my steering wheel that said ladder, camera, you know, whatever else I need, whatever else I may leave, there on site potentially. Before I start my car, I'm looking at that checklist, but I really enjoy cat duty because you really know you're helping people out.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. I love that. I don't want to call it a hero complex because I don't want to I don't know if I want to call it that, but when you go to a deployment and there's a sense of urgency and a sense of I need help, and we are there to help people as much as they may not believe that we're there to help them and to provide
Yeah.
that service. We really are. And I would get asked all the time, why do you want to do this job? When I first started, why would you possibly want to do this? And my answer was to help people. And it would come back, well, how are you helping people? Well, we help people by knowing the policy and having the knowledge of their to work the claim to the best of our ability and to apply that claim to their policy. And if we don't know the policy and if we don't know how the claims handling actually works, because some people, surprisingly, I can't believe I even have to say this, they don't fully understand. And if they don't understand the policy, how are you helping? How are you going to help people?
Mhm.
So
Right.
I've gone with that philosophy, and you can help people. It's just continuous education. What else? Speaking of that, what do you think on that? What are your thoughts?
I always call the homeowners policy America's best unread seller, because when you think about it, people will review so many things, but this is your most valuable asset.
Hmm.
And let's say nowadays, I mean, I was opted out. I'm in Florida, so I've been attempted to be opted out of Citizens before, and I was opted out. But one of the companies they opted me out to, I read the policy. They had a 2% matching limit. I'm thinking, what's up with that?
Hmm.
That means if I have a blank number, let's say $100,000 house, the most I'm going to get is $2,000 for matching. If you have tile throughout your house, or if you're on a roof claim, you're matching. That's a big deal. So knowing some of the things that change and knowing what's not covered under a policy at all, too, that you may move to somewhere. And from a personal standpoint, when I moved to Florida, the jeweler's policy only had $1,000. Well, I have a policy for my wife's jewelry through Jewelers Mutual now. So
Yeah.
it's finding out. I had a cousin, for instance, that had a Irma claim down in Sanibel. 4 policies: flood, excess flood, wind, non-wind. None of the adjusters ever talked to each other. He forced them to. He had a TV covered by 3 people. He had things in his garage no one wanted to cover. So
Oh my gosh.
it can be really frustrating for people to not understand
Yeah.
the process. And this is a very smart person. So I think, as you mentioned, being able to convey to the policy. I mean, when I was a claim consultant at Citizens, when people would come into my office to talk about coverage, I never got my computer out. I had like 10 copies of every policy. And I would hope that in 3 months it would be worn out, that I'd have to get another copy out from writing on it and whatnot, because I want to have teaching moments with even the adjusters there. Let's walk through this and see what this really means, to your
Yeah,
particular
absolutely.
interest you're talking about.
Absolutely. And getting that policy out and really showing them and having that teaching moment is what separates a good adjuster from a great adjuster. Be that great adjuster, take that extra step, and it just makes everything go more smoothly, even if it's bad news. Explaining the bad news in a way that they can understand, obviously they can understand it, and accept that, okay, this is why it's not covered, can just make the whole process just 100% better experience for the insured.
And one of the things I learned too, I'm a huge proponent of emotional intelligence and whatnot. And part of emotional intelligence is sensing what someone needs from you. Okay. You go out on a huge wind versus flood claim, the flood part's not covered if they don't have flood insurance right away. And a lot of people don't understand this because my car was covered. And it's true, the car was covered for flood because cars have flooding under comprehensive, right? But
Mhm.
and one of the things I learned, I can't help them with that. But what I can do is possibly give them FEMA information for grants and
Mhm.
loans, talk about
Yeah.
SBA type information. Maybe if I have the permission from the carrier I'm working with, we can give them 3 reputable restoration firms, even if they have to pay out of pocket. And
Mhm.
we can also make sure we're being hunting for coverage, trying to find out, just because the water line's 3 feet, when did what happen when? Maybe water came in from the roof that damaged some of this personal property also. You know.
Mhm. And that's a great point, is asking those questions. And I love that, because you need to be good at your job to be able to ask those questions, not just come in and go, "Oh, sorry, this is all flood. Nothing I can do to help you." There's a way about bringing that news and doing the investigation, having those investigative skills and asking the right questions, and knowing if the water comes in from the roof and causes the damage, that is a whole nother ballpark for the insured. And so I think I think new adjusters, when they come in, they're not taught they're not taught these things. They're just taught, they learn their course, they and they pass the course. But
Right.
they don't learn how to actually adjust a claim. And I feel like if we had more of that, we would be in a whole different industry right now.
I
The
agree. And
climate of the industry.
when I was at JS Hill, we did a lot of C sessions. And one of the things I wanted to make sure of is no sales ever. But number one, what we really wanted to do is give adjusters 2 to 3 things they could use in their job tomorrow. Period. To teach
Yeah.
people, here's what on a water loss. Here's how the water flows. Here's where a backup should occur. Blank happens where the water should come out. Oh, by the way, this is what real hell looks like. Hell looks like. These are instances of potentially manufactured hell. Give people actionable things that they can use, and that's what I think the training. When training can be hands-on like that, and it's great that you had a mentor. It really
Yeah.
helped you out, and I think that's truly important in our industry, especially as we talk about the brain drain of people my age leaving the industry and helping new people coming in. Yeah.
Yeah, there is a large exodus of, of insurance professionals due to age, but there are so many adjusters. The pool is so big, though. The pool is so big, but when you have a big pool like that, are you getting the quality or is it just for getting the quantity? I think we've kind of lost the willingness to get to be a quality adjuster. I hate to, I mean, here's some hard truths here.
When I first joined the industry back with the Aetna, I was in training for a year before I had authority to pay a claim. I
Yep.
mean, I was we were sent to Hartford for 12 straight weeks, not a 2 week class, 12 straight weeks. That's just to learn the policies, and whatnot, and so then adjusting
Neat.
school on top of that. Yeah.
Wow. So tell me a little bit more about that. So do you think, I mean, obviously that set the groundwork for how successful, look how successful you've been in your career. I mean, you needed that time to build upon and compound into what you've become.
Yeah, it helped that in fact, I started as an auto claimant, by the way, on the auto side, and I
Yes.
had a passion for homeowner claims. Uh, Grew up in around construction. When I was in the eighth grade, my dad, over 13 months after work and on weekends, built a 7 bedroom, 4 bath home. So I learned a lot
Wow.
about construction doing that and working with my best friend's dad every summer.
Yeah, I remember going to Home Depot, Greg, and I would study the materials, and I would ask people at Home Depot. I would ask them. I would probably drove them crazy, and I would just ask them questions at Home Depot and find as many people as I could to learn from. And that's and then obviously once I got on with the IA firm, Brown Claims with Gala, I learned a lot more. But truly think that we all have the same opportunity. We really do. It's just how bad you want it, and going to the classes like for that you used to put on, like the e-credits, and teaching these adjusters these invaluable, I mean, just so valuable, these lessons in person and getting that hands-on training, I think sets you apart from the sea of other adjusters. How can adjusters do that now? What is your advice to them?
Well, there are a lot of good conferences out there. Number one, I mean, the PLRB does a great job. They have their annual conference every year, have over 100 sessions. They have their regional conferences. I'm a CPCU. I'm on the leadership council with CPCU, and CPCU has a lot of mentoring that goes on. You're part of RISE. Getting together with other like-minded people on a regular basis is as good as possible. Local claims organizations have monthly meetings. Um, having training, some companies do that better than others, to be honest. Some companies, the training
Mhm.
is strictly on ethics, strictly on fraud, or strictly on subrogation. It's not about new products, and it's so important. One of the things too, whether you use disability or Xactimate or whatever system you're using, or time and materials on the complex loss. But I used to love every month when Xactimate came out with a new price list. I look at the new products. I want to see what they
Mhm.
are, because it may be something that's keeping me. By the way, they don't show them on the keyboard, but I think the most important place on the keyboard in writing Xactimate is the F9. If
Mhm.
punching that F9 note and putting in why something's different than what they have. Because I mean, when you're trying to write an estimate, if they only have 10 types of cabinets and 4 or 5 grades, not every cabinet's going to fit into that. And not
Yeah.
every, there are circumstances. If you can explain it, hit that F9 note and explain it. Why you're pricing this different.
That's a great point. And again, my motto is why be good when you could be great. I mean, it's not my motto, but it's one that I live by. And that really shows that you have gone the extra step and you care for the homeowner when they get that estimate, or building owner, business owner, when they get that estimate and they see, okay, this could be changed, or this could be supplemented, or this is, there's something, that shock factor when they get the estimate and there's no explanation on why they got, X, Y, and Z. You can change that shock factor for them, and that just, man, that just elevates your that elevates your game.
Yep.
And more adjusters need to do it. And so you had some really good topics that you wanted to touch on that we
Yeah.
previously talked about. I'd love to
You
hear
know,
those.
well, yeah, I know everyone listening during COVID, everyone had FOMO, fear of missing out. Well, we couldn't see each other. You depended on insurance to take photos in houses to try to see the damage and whatnot. Um, I think I talked to a lot of adjusters out there and a lot of people in management and vendors too. And with AI, a lot of people are worried. There's a lot of things it does can really help us out on. From the FNOL spaces to helping look at fraud indicators, things like this. But one of the things that people, I think, now have is, instead of FOMO, is FOBO, fear of becoming obsolete, FOBO, and
Mhm.
and especially, I know back when computers first came out, oh my God, what are we going to do? We 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 have to use this system, blah blah blah. People were concerned about that. Now people are concerned about chatbots handling all the easy claims. Uh, People getting
Mhm.
desk adjusters writing estimates based off field visits by other people. So, as the one thing I recommend to people is, you should keep up your technical knowledge. Number one. Number two, attempt to niche yourself, whether it's becoming a large loss adjuster, a content specialist, a fine art specialist. Find a way to niche yourself, and you'll always be that go-to person. But more important than that is working on those, and they are teachable skills. Um,
Mhm.
I use the acronym ACE for adaptability. It's been said that adaptability is the number one skill adjusters will need moving forward, because things are constantly changing. Uh,
Oh
see,
yeah.
connectivity. One thing computers can't do is connect with other computers to get things done very well.
Mhm.
And so, if you have a bigger commercial claim, something like this you're working on, groupthink really works well. Having that engineer out there to make sure it's safe to get in, having the EH&S person there. So being
Mhm.
able to get things done. And the last part, emotional intelligence. And we've talked about this a good bit. And part of emotional intelligence, is seeing things from the insurance point of view, making sure, say Natalie, it's your 10th hail claim of the day. They're all two-story houses. It's 123 degrees in Dallas where you're at right now, whatever. You're getting out of
Mhm.
your car at 7:30. It's your last claim of the day, out of your truck, and you look like you just been to Disney for 4 days and are just bushed. These people have been waiting for you for 23 days.
Mhm.
Your body language can tell someone a lot. You take a breath. It's no
Yeah.
different than if you're a desk adjuster, you have a really bad call, and you need to take a breath before you take the next call, and don't kick the dog. But to
Yeah.
me, if people can work on adaptability, and there's great books on that, uh, connectivity and emotional intelligence, you'll always have a job in this industry, no matter what AI does.
I completely agree. The emotional intelligence too is when you go to a claim and you read the room, you can tell the insured's upset. Sometimes just take a moment and take, let's put the claim to the side for a second and ask the insured, how are you doing? That
Yep.
is the very first question I ask when I make my first phone calls to my insureds. They're all small business owners, and it's a fire. Typically, I handle all fire losses or, you know, cars hitting buildings, and I go, hello homeowner, hello business owner, are you okay? Is everyone okay at the business? Is all,
Right.
all your employees, are they okay? And
Yep.
you have to read the room sometimes. Don't just call and go, okay, tell you got a fire. What's up? What's going on? And that has been really difficult for me, to be vulnerable, is that not having that human interaction and going over the phone, you have to teach yourself, okay, this is an event that just happened. I'm not seeing the damage, but I need to prepare for whatever that damage is going to be, going to come to fruition in the adjuster's report. But you have to be prepared, and you have to put on that other hat. And with the adaptability, with AI technology, all of these are tools. These are great tools to use.
Yep.
We have to know how to use the tool. The tool can't control us. We have to know how to use the tool. And it's not going to the tool isn't going to take away from, it's going to help us go faster, be
Right.
better, maybe make smarter decisions. But it's not going to take the job away from us. And my thing is that yes, with all this AI technology, it opens up a door to fraud.
Yep.
And my what I believe is that you can't replace that adjuster, that one-on-one contact, that one-on-one service if you continuously have that red carpet service. They're going to want you out there on the claim. They're going to want you to be the first line of defense against fraud, and to have that, again, that red carpet service. I think some carriers are always going to want that, and that's not going to go obsolete. But being adaptable and continuously improving yourself, your skills, education, that's all going to work out in the end.
I agree. And, a big part of adaptability is a three-step process calling learn, unlearn, and relearn. And so when you think about it, as we go through new tools, whether it's whether it's using a drone, okay, I've always gotten on a roof, blah, blah, blah. That roof's too steep. I don't have a place to do steep roof, harness, blah, blah, blah. What can I use this tool for? How much
Hmm.
do I trust it? It's a litigant's claim. I'm going to get up there no matter what, because I know the other side has someone that got on the roof. I'm going to get on that roof somehow. But if there are situations where we can learn, unlearn, and relearn, now we're applying adaptability.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah,
Mhm.
having just because we've done something the same way our whole career doesn't mean it's been the right way. We can always pivot and learn and take another step, and learn something new. I love that.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah,
we
yeah. I've sat with people that had 25 years of 1 year experience before on cat duty. Okay,
we have some comments.
sure.
I love this one from Brad. I know Bradley. He was one of my IAs over at Minuteman. We need to be financially stable and healthy prior to a deployment, which is a great point. You can't go into deployment. I mean, what do you have to say about that, Greg?
You know, there are some. I know a lot of adjusters that have repoed Harleys.
Oh God.
They go on a big hailstorm hits in Texas. They go work 200 claims. They make 50 grand, and they set up their lifestyle at that level. And then
Yes.
no cat happens for 6 months, and the Harley place comes by to pick up the Harley. I mean, I think part of it is, knowing what you're getting versus what
Mhm.
you're billing. You know, what is your percentage? And I always had goals. When I went on cat
Yeah.
duty, I want a net blank a day. That's my goal. On average, and not every day, but at the end of the week, I want to average
Mhm.
blank amount after knowing what the percentage is that I'm billing. And I think one of the things too, when you're financial and the health side too, because you need to
Yeah.
understand, um, do that you're in shape to lift that ladder 8 or 10 times a day. You need to understand
Hmm.
what one of the best things that happened from COVID, nothing, to be honest, is proper PPE. I think post COVID, when people go out to fire claims, I bet they wear more PPE than they did pre COVID, because now
Yeah.
we think about these things, and as he said, it's just as important. to go home healthy after a cat as it is to go to the cat. And you want to be, and you know, you how you handle that cat helps you get on the next cat. By the way,
Oh
everyone
yeah.
everyone wants someone that's a team player.
Hmm. I've been lucky living in. Well, let me rephrase. I've been lucky and unlucky living in Louisiana, where all the cats that I've been on have been in my backyard. So
Yeah,
my deployment was just in my backyard, and I could come home at the end of the day. Now there were long days because I would have to drive. I would drive home and go to New Orleans early in the morning, go look at claims all day, and come home just flat out exhausted. And it emotionally, I mean, mentally, it really takes a toll on you. And you have to be prepared to what you're going to see. So one of the jokes I like to tell is like I live in the trauma because I lived through Katrina, and then I go through these hurricanes, and I see the damage over and over again. And it's really hard. And I
yeah,
don't think I don't think the adjusters are thinking about, what am I going to see and what am I going to hear about on these claims.
yeah. I mean, there are studies out there now that for adjusters, and I've handled many claims where there were fatalities, whether it's auto claims or
Mhm.
fire claims too, and just in general too. Though seeing people probably not on hail damage for the most part, but hurricanes and fire losses,
Mhm.
having a total fire to your home is like having a death in the family of things you can't replace. And
Yeah.
the more you have emotional intelligence, the more you're giving out, but you're also taking out emotion from your emotional account. There are studies
Mhm.
that show for many adjusters, vicarious trauma is just as high as it is for police officers and first responders
Oh
because
yeah.
you're giving yourself so much and hearing the story after story after story, and
Mhm.
it. I think there there's a time to man or woman up, and there's a time to say, I need a break. You know, if not, you're not going to treat the next customer well. One of my favorite cats ever went on in a hurricane duty in Texas. The VP of claims Sunday morning knew everyone in that city was going to church. So you wouldn't see claims Sunday morning. He would rent one Sunday. He would have everyone over Sunday afternoon for fajitas at his house. The next Sunday, he would rent out a movie theater and have a comedy people could go see to release. So having that time where if
Wow.
not, then like your early adjuster commented, the worst thing you can do is go drink with your buddies on
Mhm.
in the evening because it's not
Yeah.
good. It's not healthy to be doing that on cat duty uh, to an extreme. You're not prepared for the next day.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. You need to have that camaraderie though. You need to be able to talk with
Yep.
people that understand what you're going through
Yep.
and are going through the same things as you, and you can talk about it. And that's not to plug adjuster hour, but I'm going to plug adjuster hour. That's kind of what we're doing here, is giving you that safe, positive outlet to
Yep.
say the things that you need to say, to work through those feelings. um, I remember a claim. It was my one and only suicide claim, and we don't even talk about the outcome of the claim. But I remember going to the insured's home, and you walked in, and you can immediately tell this person was ill, was mentally ill, and it was a hoarder's home. It was dark. It was super dark. It was dirty. It was um, cigarettes everywhere. It was just like a really bad. And I'm telling you, I think I cried through that whole inspection of that property, and just seeing where someone died. It
Mhm.
stuck with me, and it still does. And having to have their family wait outside while you go, to this death claim.
Yep.
Um, I don't think these are claims. We're not just talking about deployment claims or hail, wind, flood.
Yep.
Your everyday, your fire claims, your daily claims. I mean, those are hard claims, and you can be a cat adjuster all day, but once you hit daily claims, those are really tough. I think they're more difficult to be, personally, they can be more difficult. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I remember a claim when I had my independent adjusting firm in Georgia. Um, a lady in a hospital bed at a residence. The Her aide stepped out for a phone call. The house catches on fire, and the lady dies there in the hospital bed. And for days and weeks after that, when I walked in that room, when the bed wasn't there, I walked around that spot. I'm not
Yeah.
walking across that spot where that lady was because in my mind she's still there, you know. And if other people tried to walk across it, I would stop them. Don't walk across that. You
Good
could
for
get some.
you.
Yeah, I'm just saying that it's a. Um, I think that it's important for people to realize when they need emotional help. And it
Yeah.
is more courageous to ask for help, I think, than it is to ignore it. And because if you ignore it, you're going to lose your empathy and have cognitive bias against these things. And we all face enough tough contractors and PAs out there that the job's hard enough already, you know.
It is a hard job, and I don't think people think about that is the amount of frustration from outside parties that are coming in, like the public adjusters. I know they mean well. There's some that mean well.
Yep.
There's some that don't, that just see, the percentage that they're going to get, and have a day with that. But it's also this job. I know we're speaking a lot on this topic, but this job, you have to be a therapist sometimes. You have to
Yep.
almost be a therapist for the insured, because they're not going to get past to the next step until they let it
Mhm.
out for you and tell you their story. You have to listen to that story, and you have to be patient.
Yeah. I mean, even on hailstorm duty, you got to let the 87th person you're seeing take that hailstone out of the freezer and show you. And
Yeah,
uh,
and
I
act
remember,
shocked.
I remember in South, I had a terrible uh, F5 tornado in Dunwoody that had about 55 adjusters come in from around the country, and they were. And I told these were adjusters coming in from Boston, New York, Chicago, and whatnot. And I told them, I
Wow.
said, the first thing you need to learn how to do is drink sweet iced tea. I said they're going if they have anything left in their house or refrigerators. I said stop and take. I said drink the iced tea and let them tell their story.
Let
It's
them
going
tell
to
the
go a
story.
long way in how you handle the claim. You know.
I love that.
Yeah.
What Speaking of deployments, what has been your most wild deployment or memorable?
Now, while I've handled a lot of everything but earthquake type claims, the weirdest claim I ever handled as far as cats, Houston, Texas, similar to the Texas freeze that happened a couple of years ago, had a freeze like that right around Christmas. And during the building boom, and due to the ground situation, they put a lot of the positive water lines in the attic. And during the building boom, they weren't inspecting things properly. So a lot of the water lines were actually above the insulation.
Oh, okay.
And so it was below 32 degrees for 4 or 5 days. One out of every three homes in Houston had water leaks. And you would be driving down the street and seeing water coming out doors.
Oh my
You know,
gosh.
I finally got the fire department in the city to give us turnoff tools so we could turn off meters. If you're driving down they're not going to have enough water pressure to put out fires because the average home that I looked at had 13 leaks coming through the attic, and from the attic straight down 2 to 3 floors
Oh
potentially in
my
these large
gosh.
mansions and houses. So every home, and we called Exactimate and Stability, whoever it was, by the way, back then, and told them, I don't know what your carpet price is, but it's about to go way up because there's going to be
Mhm.
50,000 people needing carpet. It's going to be
Yeah.
50,000 people needing drywall. And so letting people know ahead of time, by the way, you may could get the plumbing fixed, but you're going to be really lucky if you get any of these other things done in 1 to 2 months
Mhm.
because there's just isn't enough supply of those materials. It was a really unique storm.
Wow. Wow, I was not privy to work that storm. Again, being mostly in Louisiana, which I've seen. Um, I've been to every little town in Louisiana, and just about I've driven through it or I've been on a claim there. And my my wildest story, and I look back and I think about it, and again, it must have been some a mental illness that was involved in this claim. But my insured, it was a theft claim. So I drove all the way to Homer, Louisiana. I don't know. I'm sure you know where Homer is.
I
It's
know what Homer is. It's near Shreveport.
yeah,
Yeah. Yep.
yeah, yep.
Yep.
So I drove there, and it was a theft claim. So knock on the door. Insured is like very paranoid. She's very paranoid, unfortunately. And I walk in and I go, man, okay, where's the theft? Show me the theft. Show me what happened. The house was just like a wreck, like someone ransacked the whole house, and all kinds of stuff was missing, all kinds of stuff. And as I'm talking to her, and this claim is long ago, I'm talking like 10 plus years ago. It's so long, it feels like a lifetime ago. It's only been 10 years, but it feels like a whole lifetime ago because that's what claims will do to you. It will make you feel like you've done this for so long. And she started talking, and she mentions that people are coming up from the floorboards and stealing her stuff, coming up through the floors. And so I'm starting to get spooked because I'm in Homer, which is like the middle of nowhere, Louisiana, and I'm like, man, people are coming up from the floorboards. And then she starts mentioning, oh, well, I have a new boyfriend that's been staying over. Have a new boyfriend. And she kept talking about this new boyfriend. And so I put two and two together that the new boyfriend that that was starting to stay at the house was stealing from her. So I didn't have the heart to tell her. I tried to give her hints, but I kind of, started thinking, okay, there's something else going on here. And I remember going to the police department and walking into Homer PD. Okay, I don't even know if you can call it that. Homer Sheriff's Department, and nobody was there. Nobody was in the office, and I'm just like, hello, hello. Is anyone is anyone here? And it was so cool. It was the old like Main Street where they had the courthouse they have the courthouse or something in the middle, the civil services building right in the middle of town, and then they have the little square with
Yep.
like downtown, Main Street USA kind of buildings. And I'm like hollering for the sheriff to come out, and they just start moseying out from whatever room they were in. They're like, "Oh yeah, what's going on?" And I said, hey, I need a police report. And they're like, oh, for who? Like, for who? Because they know everyone in town. And I said the insured's name, and they were like, oh gosh, not this one. And so, man, I got my police report from this, and they told me some things, like she's always calling about it. She's always calling them out to the house, and it was just a really weird day. I left. I remember leaving that whole claim just like very very confused on what I just walked into and what's really going on. But I remember the part that made it the most strange was the neighbor. So I took my pictures, the front, back, front, right, left, back, whatever, and taking my overview pictures, my underwriting stuff. And the neighbor comes out and is like, "Hey, come here, come over here." And I'm like, what? And they're like, "They're watching you. They're watching you." And I look across this corner of the street, and there's this car that's just stopped, and they're watching me. And I was just like, I gotta get out of this town. I'm never coming back, and I never went to Homer ever again. That's my wildest story. Boy, you gotta speaking of people watching you, you have to be you have to be careful. Have you
Yeah.
had any
Yeah.
instances of that?
Yeah. I was handling a fire loss in downtown Atlanta in a
Mm.
not one of the better areas of town. Let's just leave it at that. And have my nice little Ranger truck, and I'm upstairs with the contractor, and I hear some noise downstairs, and I run downstairs, and I see a guy pulling the copper out of the walls while we're in the house. And you can't do that. You can't do that. I run back upstairs. I hear more noise. I run back downstairs, and the guy running down the street with the bug deflector off my Ford Ranger. His
Oh God.
people said, "Well, what did you do? What did you do?" I said, "I was glad the truck was still there." That's what I said. But I mean,
Oh my gosh.
you
Yeah.
just never know how people are going to, there are people that are going to attempt to take advantage of other people. Hey, that copper, I can take that copper out of there and go make some money, or I can steal that adjuster's bug filter off his truck, and go pawn it,
Hmm. Yeah. You
Mhm.
definitely have to be aware of your surroundings, and there is a safety element. I mean, I always felt that I was in vulnerable, situations being in vacant houses.
Yep.
We had a ton of claims for foreclosed homes where there would
Yep.
be a water leak or something, and you go out to these homes, and it can be a little scary. Being a female, and when I first started, I always joke, I always say this, I looked like I was 12 years old. It is scary going to these homes, and you have that sense of vulnerability. And adjusters really need to be careful
Mhm.
and watch for that.
I agree.
So what other tips do you have? So the fear of being obsolete. What other tips do you have for adjusters that they can kind of take from this session and start working towards and working on?
Always look for dual mentoring opportunities,
Mhm.
where if there's maybe you're not used to Excel worksheets for time and material type claims, but you could teach someone else some technical skills on how to handle root claims better. But when you
Yeah.
can find ways where it's a give and give back, it's really important. I think it and finding continuing learning. I mean, people ask me why I have so many designations after my name. I'm a continual learner. I'm a voracious reader. Um, I'm one of the, I love reading the Insights magazine from CPCU. I've written
Yeah.
for Claims magazine and things like this. So it's really important to be a continual learner, and I think one of the thing too, I think for people, um, if you're going to be an IA, work for a reputable firm that
Hmm.
it's that and work for carriers who you respect also. I mean, one of my current clients is Cat Claims Unlimited. Joey Lang's my good buddy, and um, one of the things I like about them, without being giving an advertisement for them, he takes such pride in his adjusters. Not only does the adjuster sign every estimate that goes in, the person that does the QC work has to sign the estimate too.
Oh
So
wow.
I think it's and that says something. I bet QC works pretty strong if you're also
Yeah.
putting in it too. But making sure you work for someone, then and check with people ahead of time. Oh, by the way, they say they pay twice a month. Talk to someone. Do they really pay? Or are they waiting for the carrier? Blah blah blah. Are they financially enough sound that they are going to pay you? Because when you do the work, it's really important to be paid for your hard work. And if
Oh
they have
yeah.
any type benefits, some if they have any type benefits, take advantage of those. And
Hmm.
but find someone that also is going to do continual training, not just if they can help you with your training and ongoing training. I think that's really important too, because it's a lot. Some people do training. Oh, I've got a 24 hours of CE. I mean, no,
Hmm.
do training because you want to learn and you want to be the best at what you do, as you mentioned. And that the
Hmm.
more you learn, the better your estimates are, and the fewer supplements you have, and the more
Yeah.
likely you are, and you're rehired by firms too.
That's right. It's all about having that connection too with the firm. Build that connection. Take the time. Talk to the quality control reviewer. Talk to the manager that's over the team lead. I don't know. There's so many terms that people use. I
Yeah,
don't I don't know which ones to use.
yeah,
Talk to that higher up, that leader, and get to know them and show them. Hey, mention to them. Hey, I'm going to do this class. I'm going to watch this webinar. Would you like the link, or would you like share the knowledge and be a good. It's all about teamwork. We're all trying to do the same thing. We're just trying to do a good job and make it to the
yeah.
next day. Some days.
Right. And when you join someone new, when I joined MetLife Auto and Home from coming from
Hmm.
somewhere else, I knew I had to reprove myself as a large loss adjuster and as adjuster general. So I'm asking, all right, who is my claim coordinator that's sending me the claims? Because I want to become a very good friend of theirs. Because if I'm driving 75 miles to go see one claim, I'm calling in before, during, and after that, see if they have something else in the area to say because I don't
Yes.
want to have to come back out there again the next day if possible. You know.
That's a great point. That's something that I used to do. I would text my manager and say, "Hey, I'm here. I'm gonna grab lunch. If you have something for me by the end of lunch, please let me catch it on the way home." And just having that communication.
Mhm.
Let's see. We do have a
And the
question.
one, yeah, I think Bradley, what are some of the things? I think the ways to stand out. Number one, under promise and over deliver. Um, I will tell you this too. Regardless of what people tell you, Bradley, keep an updated resume. I
Mhm.
mean, I retired last October. I've updated my resume 3 times since then, by the way.
You're
You
a
know,
lifer.
and it's important to let people know how many claims you've handled,
Mhm.
your experience in the industry, what classes you've taken recently, potentially can stand out to someone. So I think, and making sure you have 2 to 3 names that you can call in a minute's notice that would give you a reference. People do still ask for those type things, to be honest. And I'm on LinkedIn a good bit. I mean, I have
Yeah.
about 7,000 C-level contact and insurance, and you know, I love using my network to help people find work. When I see that dreaded green open work collar, which I hate, um,
Yeah.
I want to help people out. So if you can, post on LinkedIn to make it not controversial post on LinkedIn about things that matter in our industry. Uh, and I don't like seeing people posting about when a storm like this, the stuff that just happened in Texas, which is the terrible flooding. We're here and ready to help. No,
Mhm.
if you're a reputable law firm, a reputable vendor, people already know you're there. You
Yeah.
already have those relationships built. Yeah. Yeah.
I love that. And those are great points. Those are great points. And yeah, building up on LinkedIn, we talked about this a couple times in a few other sessions, but if for some reason, if anyone hasn't listened to the old sessions, go back and listen when you're in the car driving to your next claim. Um, is keeping up with your LinkedIn and having that presence is so important nowadays because when I get a new adjuster report, if I haven't heard of that adjuster, the first thing that I'm doing is I'm looking that person up on LinkedIn immediately and
Mhm.
checking their references, checking how long they've been doing this, what especially if they do a bad job. Especially I'm looking and go, okay, what am I dealing with right now? What am I dealing with here? And then I call them, and then I call them if I have to call them and talk to them about the claim. So I'm prepared for that. But not having a LinkedIn presence or an updated LinkedIn is a complete turn off for me because that is where it's going. LinkedIn is your professional resume, and it's a
Yep.
current resume. Keep it nice and current. Like you said, don't say anything that's controversial or political. I think we need to keep that to the side when we're talking about LinkedIn.
Yep.
Oh, look at this is a great comment from Bradley again. I started attaching a redacted estimate with GLR with my resume to
I
show.
love that. That is, hey,
Yeah.
that's such a great idea. It shows your skill level, period. And it shows if regardless of how good AI is, if you have a super sketch that you've done on something that you can show, hey, show it off. It's a
Hmm.
great tip, Bradley.
Yep, we got some good comments because we're getting close to we're getting close to the end of our session. One of the best ones I watched. Thank you so much, Jennifer. I appreciate you watching. But we do have a few more minutes. So is there anything else that you wanted to touch on before we have to say goodbye?
Now, one of the things I would, look into designations that are, whether it's the associate in claims, associate insurance, uh, becoming a CPCU opened so many doors for me. I tell people it's the most exclusive, inclusive club in our industry. It's exclusive because it's tough to get into. You take 8 college level classes and have an ethics goal to meet, but it's inclusive. Once you're a CPCU, there's reverse paranoia going on. There are people behind the scenes setting you up for leadership opportunities, getting you into the room, you know. And so
Hmm.
don't be afraid to take extra credits, to look for designations. They've been a lot to me in my career and opened a lot of doors for me.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. Let's see. Okay. Speaking of continuing education, I have to do a short plug. If you are in a jam and you need to get CE credits online, I always recommend, full disclosure, I always recommend doing them in person, going out to the conferences, being there. I feel like you gain so much more knowledge. But if you're in a pinch, you need to get those CE hours, go to adjusterpro.com, use adjuster hour 10 to save 10% off your courses. Go check it out. They offer um, a lot of different courses. You can group them together or take them individually. It's great. Go check it out. So, and I think that's it, Greg. This was so good. I enjoyed you so much. We had so many good questions. I love talking about some stories with you. This hour went by so fast. We could probably talk all night on different experiences and claims, but truly, it was a pleasure.
Well, no, it's been my pleasure, Natalie. Thank you for what you're doing for our industry. This is a very good outlet for people to come in and learn and network. And I really appreciate you what you're doing and being part of the Who Dat Nation.
Oh, yep, that's me. And I'm from Araby, so that's even more special. I'm from the parish, so I'm one of the parish girls. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching and tuning in. It was truly a blast. I'll see y'all.
Thank you.
Oh, shoot. I don't know when I'll see y'all next, but stay on LinkedIn and look for the calendar because I will post it. We have some really good speakers coming at the end of the month and following next month too. All right, I'll see y'all next week.
Bye bye.